The story of the book is extraordinarily powerful. It's a story of a woman who wrote in secret an unfinished novel that she gave to her young daughters to look after when she was taken away to die in Auschwitz. And they kept this book for 60 years and never looked at it. And then when they finally did, out came this novel, and the whole thing became a sensation. The book was massive in America, it was massive in Europe, and it stood for something bigger than the story itself. It stood, in essence, I think, for a triumph of art over fascism. You know, they killed the author, but they weren't able to kill the story.
It is a book written in very unique circumstances. It is a live document of occupation. It doesn't have any retrospect in it, which is what makes it particularly interesting snapshot of what it was like for families.
A lot of people who have 70 years, 80 years, when they write the book, they open a part of their memory, because they can speak with the rest of the family and say, your grandfather is one of the people who takes some letters by bicycle and go to give, and they make that sort of thing one time in their life, and after they are afraid. But how do you do if you live at this time?
What are they?
They are from your neighbors. They were waiting for us at a town hall when we arrived.
They're gossip. Nothing more than just people settling old scores.
It's not a piece of reportage because it's so beautifully written and constructed, but it does have that sense of immediacy. And you know, I have a background making documentaries, so the fact that it was incredibly authentic and written at the time and didn't have a benefit of hindsight and was like a kind of time capsule in a way that had not been seen for 60 years, felt exciting. There were images that for me were very, very strong in the book. When the planes come and bomb the refugees, that I felt needs to be brutal and very, very scary, and people running into the fields of wheat and the wheat being flattened, and then they rise up from it amongst the smoke and the debris. And so I tried to kind of capture, if only a fragment of what was going on in a 200-page novella, but something that I felt really had the spirit of what was going on, that kind of fear and panic and the sense of this being a story of the war told from a civilian's point of view.
Go and see how long it goes on for.
The first section of the novel with the description of the exodus of Paris is fantastic. How people behave under pressure and under stress and when they're frightened. It's not always very heroic.
You see it?
Madame, it's a big farm, and it's been difficult without my brothers.
We'll put what they owe us down to next month.
I think this book and what the film does as well is everyone is shades of grey, and you have people that are kind of acting very inhumanely amongst the French, amongst their own community of people they've known for so long. So that's what I loved about the book. It wasn't sort of vilifying the Germans. It was almost vilifying the French and saying this is what happens when people are put under pressure. They don't look out for their own, they look out for themselves.
Beautiful scent. Perhaps I could buy a bouquet for my bedroom, cheer it up a little.
My grandmother say the occupation is worse than the war, because you know the name of the enemy. And if you know the name, you drink the coffee with him one day. You will sell some bread. In the war, you don't know if the man you shoot is kind with, he has family, he's a kind man, you don't know.
The book is particularly interesting on the idea of the German characters and what represents the good and the bad Germans and humanising them. And some of the controversy around the book is absolutely to do with these issues, that it was seen as rather shocking that in a way that these characters are seen as flawed and real and human, and they're not your textbook evil Nazis by any extent.
The piece you keep playing, I don't recognise it.
You wouldn't.
I've studied music, you know.
Not this.
You wrote it.
I was a composer before the war.
I think there's always a kind of sense of responsibility that you are making your own thing, but it's originating with somebody else's work, and particularly somebody else's work who's not only died but been murdered in Auschwitz. You know, I think it carries an extra sense of responsibility to at least convey the spirit, if the practice of adapting a book necessarily involves changing it.